Welcome to the Symantec Data Center Security SSE Plus technical demonstration. This demo is based off the DCS Server Advanced 6.8 kit on labs.symantec.com. We'll be working with DCS Manual 1, SQL Demo, and the DC Demo VMs for this demonstration. In this video, we're going to focus on providing a product overview demonstration of Symantec Data Center Security. In particular, how data center security ensures servers are hardened from malicious activity. I'll take you on a quick tour of the Unified Management Console on the DCS Manager, and we'll look at an SQL server with hardened policies. Then we'll connect over to a domain controller without protection. Security researchers have found that Active Directory enumeration and reconnaissance are the foundation of most data breaches. To demonstrate this, we'll run an attack tool to show how easy it is to view account logon and password information. Then we'll apply a hardened prevention policy to secure the domain controller. Then at the end, we'll spend some time taking a look at critical events and how you can use Data Center Security's Alerts feature to monitor for malicious activity. And if you'd like to run through this demonstration, make sure to check out the box link on the vApp to download the Product Overview Technical Demonstration Guide. There's also a note at the beginning which gives a quick background on the solution and use cases for why organizations use Symantec Data Center Security. Let's get started. I'm logging into the Unified Management Console. Data Center Security uses the Unified Management Console and an advanced policy editor to give you maximum visibility into your environment. The first area that we'll take a look at is the dashboard. I'll browse over to the Policy Tuning tab. You'll notice that the solution comes with predefined policies. You can look at a policy as a group of monitoring and hardening rules based on common platforms and applications. Organizations can create specific policies and rules based on their unique requirements. Scrolling down, I can also see which systems in my environment are generating the most activity. An increase in activity could be an indicator of compromise. Clicking on the bar, I can drill down to the events to see what's happening. The dashboard provides a snapshot of the environment and allows you to get information quickly. Let's take a look at the origin of this information. Data Center Security is an agent-based solution. When looking at the panel, I can see the status of systems that have the agent installed. Information includes the last contact with the DCS Manager and if prevention is enabled. One thing to note is platform support. The DCS solution is virtual agnostic and provides support for a wide range of platforms, including legacy systems that can no longer be patched, like Windows Server 2003. Symantec also supports platforms like Docker or OpenStack to provide visibility, monitoring, and hardening. Policies define how systems are monitored and protected. There are two types available: detection and prevention. Detection policies are used to monitor changes in the environment. They provide organizations with real-time file integrity monitoring, which means that Data Center Security tracks updates that happen to files in real time, including who made the change and if the file was created, modified, or deleted. Most companies will only install Windows updates or install software during a particular change window, so if a change happens outside that change window, then it's a good indicator that an incident is in progress. And depending on the industry that the company is in, it could be a requirement. A prevention policy locks down the system and contains the operating system and application processes using system controls. This sandbox method ensures that your systems are running only the applications and operating system services needed, and it hardens your systems against any changes, including those attempted using privileged accounts like administrator or root. Let me show you an example. I'll log into the SQL demo system as admin. Note that this system has prevention policies enabled. The System32 folder of any Windows operating system is a location where threats commonly linger. It's critical to the operation of Windows, and if compromised, can cause irreversible damage. As an administrator, I should be able to copy and paste Notepad or rename it. The prevention policies from data center security prevent this from happening. I'm also unable to delete any of the DLL files. The Monitor tab provides a snapshot of activity in Symantec Data Center Security's environment. You can use the Events view to drill down and search for specific types of activity. I can view the events generated by the SQL demo system. I can also see real-time prevention created a file write denied for notepad.exe. As an administrator of a critical system, these type of events can indicate malicious activity, but I've hardened the system against these type of attacks. Let's take a look at another example. Active Directory is the heart of every domain, managing all corporate resources in a centralized database. So domain controllers are one of the most critical assets of any organization. When an attacker gains privileged access to a domain controller, the attacker can crack the passwords and use those results to gain access and take ownership of systems and data within the enterprise. Let's take a look at how easy it is to obtain a domain controller's admin password. To demonstrate this, I'm using two RDP sessions. I'm logged in as administrator, and for this one, I'm logged in as user X. There's a known vulnerability within the Microsoft LSAS service which is responsible for verifying and authenticating user logins. We're going to exploit that vulnerability and then harden the domain controller against it. We're using the tool Mimikatz. First, I want to see if user X has the right permissions to run the exploit. The output indicates that user X does have permission. Now let's run the exploit command. Now that we have the administrator password, it opens the domain to all kinds of malicious activity. The LSAS vulnerability stores passwords in clear text. Mimikatz is grabbing the passwords from the RDP sessions. Now let me show you how easy it is to protect your domain controller from this kind of exploit. The agent is already on the DC demo system, so all we need to do is apply the right policy. I can see that prevention is not enabled, and the system is running a null policy. This means that the domain controller is not protected right now. I'll assign the system to the domain controller security group. Note that when assigning an asset to a security group, the policies that are associated with that security group are automatically applied. The domain controller security group includes detection and prevention policies predefined to harden a domain controller against compromise. Once the status changes to prevention enabled, I'll show how this system is hardened against compromise. I'll follow the same steps when showing the exploit before, so I'll RDP into DC demo as admin and user X. From the user X session, let me try to execute Mimikatz. Even though user X has the correct permissions to run the executable, I'm now getting an error. This is the prevention policy in play. Let me show you one more example of how the system is hardened with the administrator RDP session. As an administrator of the domain, I can typically change configuration settings and registry keys. But often what happens is that the administrator account has been used to make unwanted changes, which can cause an issue down the road. Now that prevention mode is enabled, the DCS agent has prevented the administrator from changing the system registry. But the goal of the solution is to prevent exploits or compromise while allowing business applications to still do their job. Since this is a domain controller, I need to be able to add or delete users and change the group policies. So let's try adding a user. His name will be Joe Smith. As an admin, I can still manage my domain, even though data center security has restricted my privileges. But what about making legitimate changes to the system? Symantec Data Center Security provides an option to enable a policy override for these situations. This is an option within the prevention policy, which can be assigned to specific users and groups in your organization. It disables the prevention policy for a set time frame to allow for approved configurations or updates. Now that you've seen how data center security can harden systems against compromise, let's take a look at some of the options to make sure that your organization is notified of critical events. Alerts help ensure that you have the information that you need to respond to an incident. Alerts can be used to send events of interest as email messages, SNMP traps, and text files. There are filtering options to reduce the events displayed. Filters establish metrics of what you're looking for and eliminate the non-essentials. In this instance, you can decide the events to be notified on, meaning that you have the option to choose what parameters make up the rules for the alert. In this case, let's generate a notification specific to the critical events coming from our domain controller. You then have the option to select the threshold of when it goes out. So if my domain controller has 50 critical events in 3 minutes, I want it to let me know. You can also review the logic for an alert before saving the notification. Reviewing the logic helps avoid misconfigured notifications or receiving a flood of emails at the same time. You can also utilize the other options to set up an SNMP, file server, or email address. Within the Unified Management Console, notifications are automatically generated based on these alerts. The listing provides one location to view all of the alerts and gives you the ability to track when the notification is acknowledged. You can also go right from the alert to the alert settings for editing purposes. Symantec Data Center Security provides both intrusion detection through monitoring and intrusion prevention through hardening controls. This solution offers out-of-the-box policies that can easily be implemented to ensure that your critical systems have the proactive protection needed to protect your environment against compromise.